Hi, and welcome to my evaluation of the British Columbia Provincial Instruction Diploma Program. Let me tell you how I first started. My name is Dave Wright, and I started off this venture as a journeyman electrician. That I got injured on the job and had to find a new way to make a living. So I searched high and low and came across this program. And I want to reflect what I've learned and how the transformation has begun for me. As I said, I was a journeyman electrician, and I signed up for this course after an injury at work. And my first class, I was a little nervous and didn't know really what to expect. So I had to take off the hard hat, take off my safety glasses, and prepare for a new chapter in my life. And the first class I had was 3220, the delivery of instruction. Not knowing what to expect, and being an instructor before, sort of feeling my way through, I wasn't really exactly sure what to expect of what a true teacher was going to be. And so I started my journey with 3220, and the instructor's name was Bob Atkins. The class itself was hard to take serious in a lot of respects because it was so much fun. The first instruction we got off this course was to think outside the box, that'll stretch yourself and not necessarily form your instruction to what you know, but what you could do and different avenues of delivering instruction you could come up with. So I did think out of the box quite a few times. The first mini class I did was how to lose 40 pounds in 30 days. And I had lots of different props, and it was quite enjoyable. I ran out of time because timing is not one of my great skills, that I found out. The next lesson I did was a lesson on how to reduce stress, where I cut bills up and told the class basically different ideas of how to do it, how to reduce stress. And my third lesson was how to wire a three-way switch, which I do with a partner. One of the most remarkable things I found about that class was not so much how I taught, but it was how other people delivered, their attitudes towards it, what their strengths were, what they could help with. I saw their strengths and I built off their strengths, and I think I got better and better with my delivery as I watched more people do it, through the instruction of the instructor, of explaining how the mind works and how it learns. I found it very educational in the fact that we don't all learn the same. What we have to achieve as far as igniting all the senses, the sense of sight, of puzzlement, things like that, to make it interesting to all students, not just what you're delivering to, but to everyone in the classroom, to find their niche on and how they're going to respond, what their buttons are, and how to produce the desired results off your instruction. I think I did fairly well in that class. In fact, my mark says I did exceptionally well, which surprised me, which gave me a lot of encouragement after I got the mark sometime down the road. But it gave me enough encouragement to carry on. My second class was the evaluation of learning, 3230. Now, the evaluation of learning, what I found out that all classes are not quite the same. Where 3220 was theater to me, was a way of expanding different ways of delivering in a safe environment. 32 30 was more, okay, these are the nuts and bolts. This is evaluation of learning. How to be fair with your evaluation, the different avenues that we need as instructors to evaluate fairly, through rubrics, cubes, through different assessments, long essays, short essays, to make it fair for everyone, to let everyone know how they're being graded, what you're looking for, how they can achieve the marks that they want, or let us know as instructors if our message is getting across to them, if they're getting the key and pertinent information. This was very informative to me, and a lot of new concepts came through this class of actually how we get to evaluate fairly. So it was a large learning curve, but all the pieces were not quite filled in yet. But I did achieve a fairly good grade in this one as well. I got a B in this one, so I was really happy with what I learned and what I extracted and went through with. My next class was Media Enhanced Learning, which is 3240. Now, 3240 was probably the most challenging class that I had. What I see a lot of flaws in the program for a lot of reasons. For someone that's your older student that's not technical savvy, can have a lot of problems during this. A lot of self-directed work. When you do self-directed work, you have to be very disciplined, and if your tech knowledge is not there, it is a huge learning curve to try to figure out the new concepts, try to evaluate exactly everything you're doing, and then getting it down in a clear and cohesive manner. I found this very, very difficult, very challenging, and that mark is still outstanding. Did I learn a lot of that? I learned a lot. Is there a lot more to learn? Yeah, I think it could take a lifetime to learn Media Enhanced Learning, and I think it's the new way of delivering information and teaching students. And I think the newer generation, the younger generation, should gravitate to this type of learning probably more than us old fellas. But that doesn't mean us old fellas can't do it and shouldn't do it. It just means that we should spend a little bit more time in trying to develop these skills. If I get a pass on this course, I shall be very happy. Just for my own idea that I've got the basic concept. I would never say I was ever an expert on this side of the learning. Am I a proponent for it? I think it will serve a purpose, and I think it will be a great tool in someone's toolbox. I'm not so sure I'll be putting it in my toolbox too many times. My next class after that was 3250, Instructional Strategies. With instructional strategies, the main scope I've got from this course was that how the brain, how you can get into the brain, what enhances learning, what motivates people, what different types of learners there are, whether they have problems, whether mental problems or physical problems or social problems that are roadblocks to their learning. The different strategies we learned for people with PTSD, alcohol syndrome, First Nations, slow starters, self-starters, all those things, all those strategies of how to keep these people motivated, and how to motivate even the students maybe that are smarter than you are, right, in a lot of different ways, and get them all on the same level playing field. So in this class, I feel I did fairly well as well. There was a lot of interpersonal challenges in this class, because you had to challenge your own psyche on what was the worst thing you've done, and you know, how could it have been better. In fact, I had to relate a story in this one of how 28 students that I had at one time when I was teaching in Sprotshaw, how they were dumb and they didn't listen, and they should all become plumbers. And after 2 weeks of being completely frustrated with these young students, I fired them all. And I sent them back home for the weekend, and I said, you guys should all become plumbers, and don't bother coming back to my class unless you realize the importance of this class. On the drive home after that class, I had a realization that 28 students couldn't be all wrong. And the self-evaluation I did, by the time I got home, I found out that maybe I was the problem and not these students. So not to go and apologize for my behavior in the first 2 weeks and my attitude towards them. I did though state that on the Monday that I was probably had too high of expectations for them, and that we should start again. And I explained to them that I was a new instructor, and that we're all going to make mistakes, but my goal at that point was to make sure that they all had a successful class, and in fact the class did. And because I had to change my attitudes and my instructional strategies to get there, to get to that point. So that was a learning curve for me in my personal life, and I learned through this class of instructional strategies that there are different ways to motivate the class, to make sure the message is getting across. The strategies we can use, video, PowerPoint, motivational situations that we can do. So I found that to be an exceptional class that stretched me a little bit more than I thought that I was going to do, but it was an enlightening class for that one. The next class I took was 3260. Now 3260 is professional practice, and it's my life as a teacher, as is so stated. And this one looked at the professionalism, how to separate self from your instructional self. In other words, not put my own beliefs or bias or feelings that I might have towards any student at all, and to treat them as a person and not to evaluate them or prejudge. Also my ethics, to make sure that I was above board and always honest, and to give them my best, right? Not just to mail it in. So that was enlightening to me, as the fact that I understand the professionalism as a teacher. I've not always seen that in my life. Some of the teachers that I had growing up didn't adhere to any of these practices, but there are good guidelines and a great way to capture what professional life as an instructor will be, and what we have to watch out for, our pitfalls, our prejudgments, and to let them know on our students know that yes, we can err, yes, we can make mistakes, but at the bottom line is that we're looking out for their best interest. We want them to succeed, and we need them to succeed, not only for their good, but for our own good, right? Because it's going to make us a better teacher when we have success. I think we should always strive to make learning a priority in our lives, and part of professional practices is that we're lifelong learners, which was a new concept for me, because I thought I knew it all from the beginning. I found out that I don't really know it all. I just almost think I know it all the time, but I've come to the fact that yes, life is a long learning thing, and I should have listened to my father a long time ago when he says if you don't learn something new every day, it's been a waste of a day. So then the next class, I went straight back, and I had to do the very first class was Foundations. Foundations is 3100, and this class terrified me. From all the other classes, I learned phrases and verbiage and concepts that I had really no idea what they were, what the bases were. I sort of started piecing it together, and I started to come together. But it didn't truly come together as a whole until Foundations. Foundations explained to me what every other instructor was telling me about how we put class together, what our goal is as an instructor, what to expect as an instructor, what different kind of learning techniques in a short fashion. And even though I took these classes somewhat backwards, I enjoyed the puzzle coming together. And when the puzzle came together, it made the whole course a picture, a story that now I could follow. Now I knew. It's like reading the back of the book first, and then all of a sudden finding out who the main characters are. It's quite interesting to find out that there's a reason for everything that you do as an instructor. When I instructed and I had no teaching on or no instructions on how to be an instructor, I just muddled my way through and say, well, that's good enough. And I made people believe me because I was the authority figure. And I had something they needed to get. And so I just forced them and bullied them into making sure they get it. Now I understand that some of the things I did were wrong. Some worked well, some didn't work as well, and I found out the reasons why. Because I wasn't clear with my delivery, wasn't clear with my students in the beginning. So this class and the subsequent classes afterwards put it all together. And so I really enjoyed the foundation class, and I feel that I did fairly well in that class as well. 3210, which was the last class besides doing the capstone, was curriculum development. Curriculum development, I learned quite a few things from the class itself. Is that the instructor for that class was a new instructor not a new instructor, but sort of a replacement instructor, and he came in with a preconceived way of doing the class that not all people agreed with, and he struggled, and he reevaluated, changed his way of doing things to some people's agreement or not agreement. And I looked at his struggle as a learning. I learned it as struggle as teaching this class, because there was some very smart students in there that had been through the whole program. This was their last class as well, and a lot of people were frustrated with the delivery that he gave. Where I learned from the delivery he gave that he wasn't afraid to make mistakes. He wasn't afraid to say, this is how we're going to do it, and he did it his way, and then found out through reevaluation of his class that he made changes to make it more adaptable for people. And I watched him transform that class from being an angry, frustrated class to a coherent learning force. And I watched how he did it, and I was amazed the techniques that he used, and it was a really instructional class for me. As far as the curriculum development, one of my weakest points, I would think, is my organizational skills. And this class, because it's curriculum development, is a very precise way of doing things. There's a beginning and an end. And the first 2 days of this class, I was completely lost. I had no idea what this guy wanted us to learn. So I had to go back in my grab bag, in my toolbox, and figure out something in my life that I could relate to curriculum development. And what I found, being a tradesperson, was this was a blueprint. But what was he making was a blueprint, and the blueprint set out what the job was, and then we had detailed prints of what each section was. After I transposed his information into my knowledge base, which is one of the key things that we have to do. We have to relate all education back to what we know, something familiar, something that we can feel, touch, hear, something that moves us, something that we know a little bit about, something to grasp and say, look, I understand this because I've now retransposed this into something that I can understand. And I found that way. And subsequently, I did very well in that class as well. Something that I did not think I was going to do because it was a more technical side, a more written side, something way out of my comfort zone. Along with foundations, another class I was way out of my comfort zone. This is what I found.